Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi. Today, our founder, Jack Roser, and myself are speaking with Jeff Tucek and Mr. Bill Zettler about pension reform. Just to bring you up to speed, there is a bill right now in the veto session that is a pension reform bill. And before we went to break, Bill, what we were talking about this corruption with the $100,000 per year with the pensions. What are we going to do better? I mean, do we have lawmakers that actually have the political will to vote the proper reform in?
No, I don't think we do. I think we have to replace, as Jack says, 6 in the Senate and 6 in the House at least.
That is the task
Nothing's
we
going to
have,
happen.
is to do that. If we get 6 in the House and 6 in the Senate, we can retire the misrule of the Democrats. Folks, go where you got to go with this thing. The Democrats have run the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois. They had the governor in there.
Cook County.
They run Cook County, as huge as it is, and they run the House and the Senate in. They own this thing, and through the years, it has been the Democrats that have used the excuse of the Constitution to continually build this pension problem, till now it has made Illinois into the most indebted state in the Union. The TRS, Teachers Retirement System alone, has something north of $80 billion in debt that's never going to get paid. And the teachers out there that think maybe we're talking against teachers, forget it. It's your union that has tapped you out.
Right. It's
because the union is the one that has given Madigan and the Democrats the power. Hand in glove, they have built this financial disaster, the worst in the country here in Illinois. And that has to be tied onto the guys that did it, and they have to be thrown out of office. The Democratic Party has to be retired from the Senate and the House. 2 years later, the governor will be up, and Mr. Moonbeam, we can deal with him for 2 years till he gets replaced.
It makes Jerry Brown look like
Governor Moonbeam, that's one
our own here.
That was in California.
You know what, Jack, though, when you speak to the Democrats, you're speaking to the elected official Democrats, because I will say Democratic voters are disenchanted by all of this.
Who wants to be part of the biggest crooked bunch in the whole current country? Who wants to have that name hung on decent citizens whose fathers before them were decent Democrats?
Exactly, because we were walking precincts last weekend, and we had 2 Democrats that signed petitions for Republicans, because speaking to the issues, the Tea Parties and the grassroots really need to be the voice for victory for 2012 by getting out there and speaking to these issues. Now, Jeff, you said you've been talking to lawmakers and working with some of this. What have you personally been doing as far as this pension reform?
What I've been personally doing is educating our citizenship about what this bill is.
Now, how so? How are you educating citizenship?
Well, there's a number of ways that we do that. Number one, we use the tool of our generation, which is called internet. So we have that tool that we connect our Tea Party with. We have 50,000 strong.
Okay, so you're reaching out to your own universe, though, your Tea Party universe.
Well,
how are you reaching out, how are you reaching out to some of these disenchanted Democrats and other folks?
Some of us actually were down in Occupy Chicago this last week. As we had, I had several chances to talk to 18-year-old kids about capitalism. What's the cause of all these problems? And I think I convinced a few of them that it's all about debt and who created this debt, right? That's the bottom line here.
What kind of questions were you asking them to engage them
in
dialogue?
Well, they were asking me, actually.
What type of questions were they asking you?
They were asking me, what's the Tea Party feel about this? And that's where I said the Tea Party is all around fiscal responsibility, constitutionally limited government, and free markets, right? That means fiscal responsibility, that individuals, businesses, and governments have to live within their means.
All of
us
what you're
do.
saying ought to be put in bronze.
Right. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's
Great
common
words.
sense. But now, what specifically have you been doing for this pension reform? I know you're one of the specialists on a Tea Party team for pension reform. Who is working with you? Are you working with other groups in
Oh,
collaboration?
yeah. I mean, don't
Who
forget, the Illinois
specifically?
Tea Party's got 90 locals, right? So we have 50,000 members on there. I lead
Active
the team.
members?
Active members.
What does active mean to
Means
you?
that they're actually in a Tea Party. Right?
Okay.
They're boots on the ground.
Are they, they're actually boots
yeah,
on the
they're
ground.
actually boots
Fantastic.
on the ground, right? So we have that network that we use. We put out calls to action. So I'm on the state team with Denise Catoni and her group. We all have a special. We have an education, pension, et cetera. We put out the calls to action. So we do the research around these topics. And I
Okay,
work
so
with
you-
Illinois Policy Institute and countless other organizations. And Bill Zettler, I have used his stuff many, many times.
So a lot of the information that you're getting, that you're pushing out, is from Family Taxpayer Foundation.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
you're utilizing the resources.
All the assets
of
that's out there. That's exactly
okay.
right.
Now, Illinois Policy Institute, are they helping you push this agenda through? And when you mean boots on the ground, are you going out
Sure.
and?
Yeah.
Sure. I didn't even answer the question. You're saying yes. So tell me exactly, specifically, and do you have?
Let him
things-
answer.
Do you have things that you could show us what you've done?
When you say, you're talking about me or the Tea Party?
Well, your group.
Oh, groups. We put out constant publications. I probably put out 4 or 5 this week alone.
Okay,
right?
so you're talking about information. You're
Yeah.
putting information out
Right.
there. Okay.
On the bill. So one of the questions
Okay.
you ask is about the elected officials. I've met with and talked to several of them, including the speaker, within the last 6 weeks, right, on pension reform. And the fact that our model is everything, without exception, has to be right-sized against the private sector. Every benefit, every component, every work rule, that's the goal, right?
Okay.
And we're not going to rest. The Tea Party will stay in existence until that happens. So there can be no time where our government at any level has more of an advantage than the private sector.
Let
When you
me-
do that, you get the union problem.
Let me ask you a question about the Tea Party thing. What do you call? What position do you occupy? What's your organization?
Illinois Tea Party.
Illinois Tea Party.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people say the Tea Party people are very disorganized, which I think probably is more good than bad. But there is a certain amount of independence among different groups in that call themselves Tea Party, but they're this and that of what area and so forth.
The local Tea Parties are fiercely independent, but we are unified.
And that's not all bad.
It's not all bad. We're unified by our core values of fiscal responsibility, constitutional minimum government, and free markets. There is no dispute on that.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
There is
and
no
that's
dispute.
Americanism. But clearly, I understand where the Tea Party is actually an American populist movement. I mean, you can consider a 9/12 group a Tea Party group, even though they don't have Tea Party in their name. This is an American movement, clearly led. The leader of the Tea Party is our Constitution. That's what it is. That is the
No debate.
leader.
No debate.
I mean, that's, we had a little thing going on a couple of years ago. Who's the leader of the Tea Party? We know who it is. It's the Constitution. But now the individuals of the Tea Party, and it is a great movement. It's what perpetrated victory for 2010, and truly 2012 is more important and around the corner. But you say you're doing messaging to the Tea Party groups.
One of many things.
Let's speak specifically about pension.
I find my organization, Family Taxpayer Foundation, which is a 501c3 and heavily involved in principles and especially education. We also have a lot of help out of the Champion News.
Sure.
We also have people that sponsor the Illinois Republican Renaissance PAC, which is flat out politics. And some people find that, they don't want to cooperate with that, which I find a little strange. They think that we're trying to control the Tea Party movement. I see myself, I'm old, I'm 88 years old. I've been talking like this for well over 50 years. I'm just glad to see a swarm of people out here, Tea Party people, saying what I've been saying for a ton of time.
Absolutely.
And I love their independence.
Yep.
And but the idea that we're trying to control the Tea Party, I respect that independence.
Right.
But at some point, you have to unite around your principles and figure out what you're going to do.
Right, and that's
at
indisputable.
that,
Well, you know what?
you get away from people that are merely talking about theories and education of people and so forth. You finally get down to where you got to get out and be political.